Hoi! Today I want to talk to you guys about the job hunt, which is fun. It's not fun. There's a big chance that a lot of you who maybe graduated in June or July have now come to the realization that they kind of need a job. I have been at my new job now for about 2 months, and it has kind of been a full year since I first started looking for a job. So I thought it might be useful to kind of look back on that year and kind of talk about my experiences and maybe give you some tips. I am not an expert. Always ask other people for advice. I don't know the ultimate truth. Okay, let's get started. So here's a bit of history. I moved to London at the end of September last year. Then I think I started looking for a job halfway through October. I got like 1 or 2 job interviews at some point, and then in December I had like a little breakdown where I just couldn't even open my inbox anymore, just couldn't bear to think about it. I actually talked to a friend about this later and she had like the exact same thing. Suddenly this inexplicable like surge of anxiety, which I don't have, so that might happen. Then I think kind of in January the ball started rolling slowly. I started doing some work experience. I went to some events and started kind of meeting some people who worked in the industry that I wanted to work in, which is publishing. I asked people to look at my CV, kind of redesigned my CV. I had a couple of interviews finally. I think I only went on like 5 interviews in total in like 8 months. I think now we're getting to like March, April-ish when I felt like I was close to maybe getting a job in publishing, but my money was also starting to run out. So this is when I started applying to like all these jobs in malls. Not that I was getting any of those because I didn't have any experience in that field. And then in May I got really lucky and I got a part-time job for 3 months, which is kind of in video editing, and I got that purely through my YouTube channel. And then finally I applied for the job that I have now. That's kind of the journey I went on. So I want to kind of talk about some highlights, or shall we say lowest points in my job hunt. I applied for an internship at a museum. This was very early on and I thought I was like super qualified for it. I was actually super qualified for it. It was like in education, digital development, and just kind of dealing with kids and creative things, which are things that I have a lot of experience in. I had to answer 10 essay questions. It took me about 3 days and then they just didn't get back to me, and I applied for the next one that month afterwards, and I think 3 months later I finally got an email that I didn't get in. That was a great kind of way to start off the job hunt. And then at some point I had an interview that I thought went really well, was for a part-time position in publishing. I didn't get it, and then when I asked for feedback they said that I thought I would get bored in the position. That didn't help exactly either. Okay, so looking back on all of this, here are some things that I learned and that I can kind of see now that I have a different perspective on the situation. When I read my old cover letters now, they were really boring. I would not have hired myself. There was just no personality in them at all. Number 2, I was way too timid when it came to kind of following up on things. I would never call or never email to kind of check that they'd received everything. I would just like wait for 4 weeks and complain to people that hadn't heard anything back. It's so annoying, blah blah. Because sometimes companies just don't email back, and you can give them a call and just ask if they found someone for the position, and if they have, then you can stop worrying about it and start finding a different job. Also, advice to myself, sit down and get it done. When you find a job that you like, just start writing the cover letter, start doing your research, do everything, and send it in that day. I would just keep on collecting job openings and bookmarking all of them, just be so excited about all these opportunities, and then never really get around to actually applying to them. I would look at the list and then half of the deadlines had already passed and I'm just an idiot. Also, I wish I would have asked for more advice, and I wish I wouldn't have been so afraid of criticism. I should have let other people read my letters. I should have asked more people to kind of look at my CV and just tell me what I was doing wrong. It's easy to say that now, obviously, but I think that would have really helped me out at the time, especially when I was starting out and had no idea what I was doing. I hadn't written a CV since like 2010. Okay, here are some extra tips. Whenever I write a cover letter, I always ask myself 2 questions, and I write those down first. Number 1, why do I want this job? And number 2, why should you hire me? I think some people make the mistake that they just kind of start listing everything that's on their resume, and a lot of advice that I've heard when I've been to conferences and things like that is that companies want to know why you want to work for them, why that job specifically, and what you would add to the company. And then finally, a thing that kind of happened naturally for me, but that I also did on purpose a little bit, is that my Twitter feed transformed from just being YouTube people and all of my friends to being like 75% about publishing. I think at some point I just started following some people that I had met at work experience, and they were talking to all these other people or retweeting really interesting people, and I started following them, and all of a sudden I started seeing people tweet about very important news that I should be keeping up with, and about events that I could go to, and about like job openings, and I think that helped me so much. I found out about this job that I have now on Twitter. I hope that was useful in some way. If you want to see more videos where I kind of talk about jobs and things like that, first of all, I did a video cover letter for the job that I have right now, which you can watch right here if you maybe kind of want to see what that was like. And then I also did a video about publishing work experience, where I also kind of talk about resumes and what companies expect and things like that. I think it would be great if in the comments you could leave your best job hunting advice so we can all help each other out a bit. And maybe if you have some stories about crazy job interviews, I'd love to hear about those as well. If you are job hunting right now, best of luck. You can do it, and I'll talk to you guys later. Doei!